The 651st edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHNM. And finally, make sure to enter our free roll football contest. Up to $3,500 in prizes are up for grabs. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll to enter today.
Heidi ho, DeGenerinos, and welcome to episode 651 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Who is it going to go out to? Who have I not given one to recently? Let me see. I'm checking through our YouTube.
Did we give one to Son of Smoke? Son of Smoke's always given me mad props during UFC events.
All right. Son of Smoke, one of our friends in the Discord. This goes out to you. Thank you for coming to the show. You know who it doesn't go out to? It doesn't go out to Cody Durden. For numerous reasons. Mostly we didn't pick him, but also he's given himself a nickname. Custom made.
What was that? Custom made.
I want to know why. This is great.
First of all, I didn't hear the introductions to that fight. I think I might have been putting one of my kids to bed or something like that. And I came back when he locked in, I watched the first round and then I saw him locking the choke and I was like, oh God, like what a dumb move by Matt Schnell. And then I heard them announce Cody Custom Made Durden and I was like, what the hell is that?
That's got me reeling, by the way. Everyone say hi.
What's up?
here's what he says. This is from Sherdog. He's custom made because he's a little crazy. He likes country music. He likes rap music. He likes to deer hunt. He likes to go fishing. He likes to do a little bit of everything. That's pretty much every fighter he just named. All their hobbies right there, is it not? I could have told you. I also don't get why that's custom made.
Because
he likes a little bit of everything. That's not custom made. Everyone in your profession from your area of the world likes rap, country, and they like to hunt and fish.
And not everybody, but
we know who you're going to vote for too. You're not custom made.
Well, I can name plenty of fighters who like country, rap, and go hunting and fishing. I will also just say this: when I get something custom made, I get it extremely one way because that's the way I like it. I don't get it a smattering. It's it's a weird nickname anyway. But that's not why we're here. This is not a Cody Durden podcast.
It's not, thank God. It is a KSW podcast. We didn't do KSW 97. Last time when we did was KSW.
We got 96. A lot of crap for it too.
Yeah, people like their KSW. Numbers.
I think they just want to hear you say Polish names.
Oh, there's some fun ones today. Yeah, so we haven't done KSW since July. Yeah, so we are back with a KSW, and it is in Poland, so it's going to be a fun episode for us all. Konfrontacja Zutuk Walki. You say it better. Go.
Konfrontacja Zutuk Walki.
Yeah, that's the name of the event. Yeah, and it's got someone on the poster who is not in the main event anymore too. So there you go.
Which one?
Mikalski is still on the
poster.
Yeah, he's not in the event. So this is going down in Lubin, Poland, September the 14th, which is good because we just did a Friday LFA event. This is a Saturday 1 p.m. Eastern. The UFC Riyadh season UFC Noche is not till evening, I assume. So
you forgot the 307 in there, right?
Yeah, UFC, or it's 306.
306. Yeah, 306.
The event no one's buying tickets for. Yes, that is going down too. I assume there's going to be a packed crowd in the Hala CRS in Lubin, Poland, because KSW does it up. Now, they seem to not have issues with getting people to buy tickets for their events.
For sure. Yeah, they're always packed.
All right, you know who else doesn't have trouble people checking out their content? That would be our bosses, the Sports Gambling Podcast. But if you have not checked them out yet, make sure you do. They are making picks on every NFL game against the spread, like they have every year since 2011. So check all that out on wherever you get your podcast, and of course YouTube. And if you haven't already, check out our free roll football contest. You can win up to $3,500 in cash. That is up for grabs at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. At sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. Let's get into some winning picks because that's what people are here for. You're still doing good with the regional. I think last time we updated, you were up 14 units for the year, right?
Yeah, took a little bit of a digger this weekend. Hit every single octagon pick. Hit 4 of 5. Was it LFA? Was the other event we covered? Oh no, Cage Warriors. Hit 4 of 5 Cage Warriors picks. Hit 2 of 5 in Bellator. And with a couple of chalky plays in there.
Yeah,
I think we're down 1.5 units from last week. So I think we're at like 12.5.
All right, so that's why he doesn't like covering Bellator, and that's why
Bellator screwed me. Although if you counted my my lightning round picks for Bellator, we were in the black. So
there you go.
Make sure you stay tuned for those at the end of the show.
Out of the blue and into the black. And people are asking for Bellator this week. You're not getting it because this event is pretty bad. It's if they lost their main event and then immediately got really bad. So I guess it wasn't that good to begin with, really. It's going down in England. If you can quickly judge these things just by going to Wikipedia and checking who actually has a Wikipedia page. There's 2 fighters on this card who have a Wikipedia page. So half the main event is not even. So yeah, there's a lot of if you're into severe MMA, you'll know some people like Derek Kelly and Kieran Clark and people like that. But yeah, Mark D. Casey and Liam McCourt are basically the only names you probably will know if you're not a hardcore Bellator fan. So we are not covering that, and you don't get good odds of Bellator, as Gummy just said as well. So when they force us to cover them, we cover them. But we're all about KSW this week. Hopefully we can get some good lines here. The lines have not dropped as of this recording. So let's get cracking. Saturday, the 14th, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. 10 fights, excuse me. We're going to cover half of them in depth, and then we'll see if Gumby has some bonus picks for us for the rest of the card. I'm sure he will, because it's called the lightning round. All right, we are going to kick things off with a couple fighters I believe we've spoken about, at least one of them. Zuriko Jojua from Georgia. Werlleson. Is it like Wilson, but it's the
Werlleson.
Werlleson Martins from Brazil, 3 5-minute rounds, 135. Georgia continues to take over. The South has something to say, Gumby. Right?
I think it's a different Georgia.
It really? Every time. That joke. We're not going to give it up. Galino is Martins. I know we've talked about that before because Chicken Little is his nickname, right?
Yep.
18-6, 6 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted twice. 2-2 in KSW. He's won 2 of 3 and 5 of 7. Lost via knockout in his last fight. He's got multiple region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Good shirt. Sports got gamblingpodcast.com/store as some kind of accent there. I don't know what it was. Used to fight at featherweight, 2013 pro, made debut, 3 inches tight and inch reach over Jojua. Have we talked about Jojua, or is there a different Jojua we talked about?
I mean, we talked about Liana Jojua.
Right, okay.
I don't know that we've talked about Zuriko. He does have at least one high-profile KSW fight in there, but I don't know if it was like one of the events we skipped or something like that.
Yeah, this man is 9-2, 1 knockout, 4 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 2-1 in KSW, 8-1 over his last 9, but he did lose his last fight as well. So both guys are looking to bounce back. Is not won a fight since November 2022.
So I think this is going to be a widely lined fight. I think you're going to see Jojua as a big favorite. How big? I'm having a tough time wrapping my head around because I'm hearing a lot of people say that Jojua should be a massive favorite here. And even if you look at like the Tapology, survey or whatever you want to say, it's not their picks page, whatever you want to say at the bottom of Tapology.
User picks.
User picks, which are usually not a bad indicator of what the books might think. Cause they're one of the things I check in addition to like talking to a couple of people who are in the know. Jojua looks like a big favorite. Now, I have a tough time reckoning that because, Martins has got so much more experience. He's fought really high level fighters. He fought Sebastian Prisbys in a title fight for KSW and went to the 5th round in it and actually looked pretty damn good in it too from time to time. But I think people are just worried about Jojua's wrestling just being too much and too persistent. So I think Jojua is going to be like a negative 500 or 300 favorite. And if he is a negative 300 favorite or maybe even negative 500 favorite, I like Martins. I think he's worth a dog shot here. I'm not here backing the truck up saying if he's a big underdog, getting all in him. But I think this fight should be really closely lined because Martins is a very fun striker. He put some pressure on Sebastian Prisbys in that fight and looked pretty good doing it. He got taken down a couple of times and looked fine off of his back. My only little bit of a worry is that he throws a lot of jump knees. He's going to need to stop doing that against the guy who is a wrestler. But who knows? Maybe even one of those knees connects on Jojua as he tries to get in on a takedown. And I recognize that Jojua has good takedowns and he is like a Georgian wrestler in, what you expect from those. But like on the feet, he's so predictable. It's like an overhand right to shoot a takedown, an overhand right to shoot a takedown, an overhand right to shoot a takedown. And like, I think if Martins just like circles when he counters those overhand rights, he should be able to stay away from the takedowns enough to keep on his feet. He also like knew what he was getting into here. Hopefully his training camp has just been like drilling takedown defenses on overhand rights. And like, as long as he does that, like he is going to be the way better striker on the feet. So, sort of my handicap on this one is I think Jojua is going to be a big favorite based on what everybody's saying. And if he is a big favorite, there's way too much value on Martins to just like, not sprinkle half a unit on there or something.
All right. So what do you think we're going to get him at?
I'd say plus 250, maybe plus 275. Sometimes you get lines that aren't terribly juiced. Not too much vig on them in KSW. So like maybe we can even get him in the higher twos if he is at that number. All
right. We shall move on to more fun names here. Hopefully fun fights too. This is a light heavyweight fight. Bogdan Gnidko from the Ukraine, Dominik Humburger from, I believe, the Czech Republic. I just looked and already fight. Yes, Czech Republic. 3 5-minute rounds, 205 pounds. Humburger, 8-1 with 7 knockouts. Never been finished in a fight. 3-1 in KSW. Won his last fight via TKO. Used to fight at middleweight. Gnidko, 10-2, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions. Knocked out once, submitted once, so finished in both his losses. 3-2 in KSW. He has lost both straight fights. They're the 2 finishes I was speaking of. An inch reach over Humburger, 5 years younger.
Yeah, and those losses are pretty obvious for me. Like Gnidko is just, he's takedown or bust. Like that's for me. He ain't going to hang with a lot of these guys in the KSW, specifically in the light heavyweight division, unless he scores takedowns. And so like, I think the line might be close, being like, if he gets takedowns, he wins. And if he doesn't get takedowns, he loses. Humburger's got like a little bit more name value behind him. Gnidko coming off of back-to-back losses. I'm going to say Humburger probably negative 145, negative 150, right around that range. And I'm going to go with Humburger. I think he denies the takedowns enough. I've also really got questions about Gnidko's cardio. Like he looks like he gasses when he throws 100 takedowns at you, especially if 1 or 2 of them get stuffed. Yeah. And I also really like Humburger's power late in fights. Like the later he goes into fights as his opponents fade, his power has not really faded as much as their chin has. And it winds up being like a larger advantage there. I also really like the way he scrambles. Even though he's given up some takedowns, he's always in a position on the ground where it doesn't look like he's in an awful spot, and he works back to his feet pretty quick. I've also seen him, just like hit people over and just create a scramble and get back to striking range. So I like Humburger's ability to scramble. I think it keeps him away from the takedowns of Gnidko, and he winds up tiring him out and finishing him late.
All right, there you go. Hopefully a small favorite, if that. Before we move on, Underdog Fantasy. We must tell you about Underdog Fantasy. They've got a pick'em that gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. That's why I got to tell you, 1,000 times your money. Plus, the NFL is back, baby, and there are a ton of social pick'em specials to get you started. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Gonna be a play for Tuesday on Underdog for us.
We got Yu Darvish starting on Tuesday for San Diego. We're going to take a look at him getting the higher than on his strikeout numbers. He's going to be facing the Mariners. They're 30th in the majors in strikeouts. And I think we're going to still see, even though we don't see it yet, a manageable number for Yu Darvish because he only went 2 2/3 last time out. So you might see that strikeout number stay kind of low. But he did get 4 strikeouts in 2 2/3. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 6 or 7 here.
The Padres sneaky solid this season after all the disappointment they have encountered over the past few years. So, all right, sign up with our code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 of bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. And we are moving on. I'm doing okay with the name so far. Oh, this is the fun one. As I say that, that wasn't planned. Yes.
Yeah, nice.
It wasn't planned, but yeah, this one. Artur Szczepaniak.
We did this one.
Szczepaniak versus
Szczepaniak.
Krystian Kaszubowski.
Kaszubowski, yeah.
Kaszubowski. You're so disappointed in me too there. That hurts.
Well, I feel like we talked about
I'm going to remember.
And also,
You've
by
told
the
me
way,
pronunciation.
I would also like to invite anybody with good Polish pronunciation to correct me, because
please.
I'm doing it mostly based on my understanding of the pronunciation of Polish consonant blends. So I'm pretty sure this one's Szczepaniak.
All right, there you go. The Pontiac. Yeah, you're so disappointed in me too. Like you've pronounced names right before we've gone on air, and I've butchered them right. Come on. For other people he's on shows with, he writes out pronunciation guides. Just
I do it sometimes for Stacking the Money. Sean Stacking the Money Green. I do pronunciation keys for him.
But I don't think Ryan wants you to. I think he prefers.
No, he made me stop so that Sean would have to work for it.
Exactly. All right. Because maybe you should go on there and talk about Riyadh season Noche UFC. Krystian Kaszubowski, we're talking about first. Chris is his nickname there. That's easier. Chris with a K. 11-4 with 1 no contest, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out twice. 5-4 in KSW. No contest in his very last fight. The fight before that is got the old flag on Tapology for a severe mismatch that he won. And he used to fight at middleweight. Szczepaniak. Says a Pontiac. That's his name, I think.
Szczepaniak.
I think I talked about Pontiac cars last time. He's king. There you go. King versus Chris. I should have just gone right to that from the get-go. 10-3. Nope, not. Yes, 10-3. 6 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's knocked out twice, submitted once, so finished in both his losses. 3-2 in KSW. Loss over his last 3. 6-2 over his last 8. Lost his last 5 via knockout. He's fight at middleweight. 2 years younger, 5 inches reach over. Kaszubowski.
So I think Szczepaniak's going to be a big favorite over here over Kaszubowski. I think mostly the reason being is that, like, and it's going to wind up being my handicap here, Kaszubowski's takedown defense is bad. It looks like when he's about to be taken down, he's ridiculously surprised that it's happening. Like, he thinks it's a kickboxing match, and like there's no reaction whatsoever. Like, I watched. It was either his last fight or 2 fights ago. Somebody shot a takedown on him and got all the way in on his legs. And he just kind of like tipped over without ever reaching for an underhook, without his legs ever sprawling behind him. He just kind of fell. And I was like, oh, he wasn't ready for that at all. And it wasn't like he was fighting somebody who wasn't going to take him down. Like, he kind of saw it coming. But then like he would, and at first I was like, when you see this on a regional fighter or somebody in KSW, you're like, oh, maybe he's just one of those guys who's nasty off his back. And like, he just, he's a stepping through. He invites this kind of fight. Yeah. And then I watched, and that is so not the case. And so, I think Szczepaniak, who, I'll be honest, first of all, I think he prefers to strike. I think in this instance, we're going to see him work it to the mat. I think we're going to see him grind a little bit and try to get it there because of the discrepancy in the grappling abilities. And look, we've also seen Szczepaniak look all right in grappling type exchanges, even if not shooting for like a double. But he held Bartosinski, who's the welterweight champion of KSW, up against the cage early in that fight. Granted, the fight only lasted like 2 minutes before he got knocked out by Bartosinski. But like, he had him up against the cage and he was holding him there and like clearly had good control and was working down to the hips. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a guy who's got some sense of what he's doing. And that's really all he needs here. And then in addition to that too, if this does stick around in the feet, Szczepaniak doesn't shoot the takedown like I think he so clearly should. I think he's got just like a touch more power and abilities to finish it. I like when he gets in the clinch, which again, if he's going to shoot a takedown, you're going to work him in the clinch. It should be there. I like his elbows in the clinch. I like his ways that he knees the body. Like, I just think he's got more weapons, more ability to finish the fight. So I'm going to go with Szczepaniak here. Again, I think probably low 2s here based on record and recent results, but wouldn't surprise me if it creeped towards 3, but I'll take Szczepaniak.
All right. So first 3, all about grappling in your eyes, right? First 3.
I mean, like, let's be real for a quick second. Kind of how it happens in KSW, Poland, an area known for having some pretty decent wrestling. I mean, like, look at the guys who you've seen come to the UFC who are Polish, like, Matthews Gamrot, who's the one who grappled Matthews Gamrot, the other Matthews.
Rebecki.
Yeah. And then like even Marcin Held, not necessarily a big wrestler, but again, a jiu-jitsu guy. So like, that's a lot of what we see from Poland.
It is true. All right. We are off to, I was going to say, co-main event time. Co-main event time. Yes, that's right. Here it is. All right. It is 170 pounds. Wiktor with a W. Wiktor Zalewski, Madars, Fleminas. So we got Zalewski is from Poland, not surprisingly, because that's where they are hosting this event. The other one is the Latvian Express. Guess where he's from? Latvia. And we'll tell you about him.
We've talked about Fleminas a lot, too.
He is a Latvian Express. That's why. We're going to talk about more about him right this second. He's 13-5, 7 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been submitted 3 times. 3-2 over his last 5. Won his last 5 via TK, not TKO, KO, a legit KO. 7-4 in Cage Warriors. Regional champion, 3 inches height, 3 inches of reach. Zalewski, 7-0 with 6 knockouts, never been finished in any fight. 3-0 in KSW. He's won 2 straight via finish. 11 years younger than Fleminas, so he's kind of getting a step up here with the vet, right?
He is. I think this is their chance to test Zalewski against somebody who's a bit of a step up. I think he's going to be a massive favorite here. We're talking like 400, negative 400 on Zalewski. And I'm just going to say, so I'm going to pick Wiktor Zalewski. I'm going to say pass if the number's anywhere near that.
Yeah.
I don't put him in a parlay. Don't
do not pass go.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 on Zalewski. And mostly I just mean that because Fleminas is that like veteran who teaches you a lesson.
Yeah.
And he's rangy and long and weird and like impossible to be. I mean, he holds a win over George Hardwick. Like, it's worth noting a dude has a win over George Hardwick. And so Zalewski is that like young up and comer. He's clearly very powerful. Like when he backs you up against the cage, which, like Fleminas has kind of a bad history of getting backed against the cage. When he backs you against the cage, he puts together combinations. Even his jab does damage. Like, he looks like the real deal for KSW. Like, he looks like a guy who might be a threat in their welterweight division, but like, I just can't get behind like huge numbers against like a seasoned vet like that. So if it is a huge number, if you get him in the 2s, like, by all means, put together a little parlay that you want him to juice up. But like, if he's in the high 3s, the 4s, if he creeps into the 5s, like, stay away from this line. He's just not been tested against a guy like Fleminas, who is so tough, who is so durable, and who just like goes in there and mixes it up and makes a fight out of anything.
Yep. Prospect losses are a real thing. So keep an eye on that. But anything under minus 400 you're cool with?
I mean, like anything in the like mid to low 2s, you want to try to spruce up a parlay with it. Like I think, depending on your appetite for risk here, I think he's worth it there. Right. And I just think it's going to be much higher than that. I don't think you'll get anywhere near that.
All right, before we get anywhere near the main event, let's tell you about Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money line spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press Build a Model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. The Rhythm college football team had everybody in on Colorado versus North Dakota State under 59.5. That was a sweet cash for everyone this college football season. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RTHMM. I'm starting to self-destruct here. Game time. They're now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, but not just MLB, UFC, MMA, concerts, sports. They got it all. Last-minute deals is what they specialize in. You can save up to 60% if you buy your tickets last minute from them. You can get your seat views there as well, plus a bunch of other good stuff. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And now to our main event. A couple of fun names for me as well. 3 5-minute rounds, 185 pounds. Radosław, Paczuski, Laïd, Zerhouni. Pretty good if I say so myself.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Poland versus France is what this matchup is. The Frenchman is Zerhouni. He's 13-8 with 1 no contest, 4 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been submitted 6 times. Yikes. 2-0 in KSW. He's won 4 straight fights, all via finish. He's not lost since July 2022. He also has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Good shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. I've not said that a heck of a lot recently. Used to fight at welterweight 2 years younger than Paczuski. Paczuski Radic is the nickname. 6-2 with 5 knockouts. He's been knocked out once. He's taking this fight on short notice. 3-2 in KSW. He's won 1 of his last 3. He won his last fight, via knockout. 6-0 kickboxing and champion there. 4 inches reach over Zerhouni.
So I don't know if you know this. Zerhouni's the owner of one of our biggest hits all year on the regional scene. I believe he was 350 against Bartosz Fabinski when we picked him, and he knocked out Fabinski in I think 16 seconds. And he's like not a knockout artist, as you mentioned. Like most of his fights hit the mat, and he's either getting submitted or submitting somebody. With the way the records sit, and where the recent results have gone, I kind of think Paczuski is going to be just a slight favorite. We'll say like -130, like +110 on the return on Zerhouni. And I'm going to ride the guy who, cashed it for us earlier in the year. I'm going to go Zerhouni. I think, for me, it's a couple of different pieces. The first piece is that I do think he should be able to grapple in this fight. As you mentioned, he kind of has, some issues with his defensive grappling, but in this fight, he's up against kind of just like a wild man in Paczuski who just like throws wild, haymakers constantly and is just trying to turn it into a brawl. Zerhouni is like a way more composed fighter. So I think he's just going to look for that moment where Paczuski kind of overextends himself and shoots a takedown. And as far as Zerhouni from an offensive grappling standpoint, I really like his ability to take kind of like a weird angle on like a half guard or something like that, let his opponent get up a little bit and then take the back. His back takes are like really crafty in that way. And he does it without actually letting his opponent all the way up. And so with Paczuski being a guy who's kind of a brawler and kind of like, doesn't compose himself very well and kind of gets super wild from the very get-go, Zerhouni is a guy who will take advantage of that, especially if it hits the mat and he just tries to like Hulk his, he tries to Derek Lewis his ass up. Like he's going to get choked on the way up. Like Zerhouni will be on his back end with a rear naked choke in before it's done. So like, I like Zerhouni for those reasons. I do worry if it stays too long on the feet that Paczuski might just land one of those bombs. Cause like he throws haymakers and he does have power, but I think Zerhouni is like composed and careful enough that he stays away from it here and he winds up getting his ground game going.
Excellent. What did you say we're going to get him at?
I said like maybe I think he should be the underdog, but not by much. Like +110 maybe.
All right. Quick recap, and then we'll see if Gumby's got some bonus lightning round picks. He's got Zerhouni. He's got Zalewski. He's got Szczepaniak, Humburger, Martins. Lightning round, zap, bang, boom. Do you have any lightning picks for us?
Yeah, I got 2 for today's episode. I'm going to go with Islam Jabrailov. In his fight, I really like his ground and pound with where his record's at. Like I kind of expect him to be a decent sized dog and like it's going to be a grappler versus grappler matchup. But like, I think I trust his grappling just enough that like if you can get some dog money on him, he's worth it. The other one I like is David Kasparsky. He's going to be fighting a 1-0 fight versus another 1-0 fighter. Both of them that came from the world of striking. Neither of them have any interest in doing actual MMA. Both of who are 34 or older. So it's a weird fight. But I sort of like Kasparsky a little bit better than Glowinski, mostly because he comes from a kickboxing background instead of a boxing background. I think you're going to see him tear up his opponent's front leg like quite a bit because Glowinski kind of like hangs on that front foot pretty heavily, and you fight a kickboxer and you don't check leg kicks all that well. Like that, it could be really bad for him. And other than that, I think it's mostly a coin flip. So I'll take the guy with like a slight edge there. So give me Kasparsky and give me Jabrailov.
All right. You are all set now for your winning picks for KSW. We'll be back tomorrow. UFC. It's UFC 306. O'Malley versus
season.
UFC 306. O'Malley versus Divilishvili. No, Rihad Caesar Noche UFC. That is all of its names.
The Saudi Arabian Mexican event.
Exactly. Of course. Yes. The the merge is complete. And it's in the Sphere. UFC is probably going to lose a buttload on this event. There's only 10 fights on the card as of this recording. Is that true?
There's only ever going to be 10 fights. He announced right when they decided to do the Sphere that it had to do with timing, I think, and how much they could do inside of there and how much production they were going to be able to put into it. So he said hard cap 10 fights. That's why Dan Ige, despite begging to be on that card, didn't wind up on that card. Instead, he wound up with like a pretty high profile fight against somebody good instead, I think, if I'm remembering correct.
Guess who won't complain about 10 fights? Me. I will not complain about just 10
it'll be a good breakdown for us on tomorrow and Thursday. 5 fights apiece. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Gummy likes it when it's all even like that and works out. So perfect. So that'll be tomorrow. In the meantime, and in between time, and at all times, we're in the Discord, and or someone else is in the Discord. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Hit us up there. You can also hit us up on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe to the MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube, and then you can comment to your heart's content. Twitter, SGPN MMA. Gummy runs that. He's like Gummy Freedom. I'm Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. Check out my Substack. Enter my UFC 306 Riyadh season Noche UFC pick'em contest for free. And plus, I have a bunch of articles, of course, leading up to this event at moneymma.substack.com. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. He told you yesterday who's on it, but in case you missed that, he's going to tell you today again who's on.
LFA's headliner, Mark Lomaco, and upcoming Contender Series fighter, Elijah Smith.
Who his wife knows who it is, and hopefully you will too after you listen to the episode. So listen to that. And of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Bid the people farewell.
All right, I'm Dana Gumby Freeland. He's the Latvian Express, Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.